You've been lied to about your retirement. You don't need millions of dollars. You don't need a 401k. And my friends, you definitely don't need to grind for 40 years hoping with your fingers crossed that one day you'll have enough. There's really only one financial number that actually matters. It's called your strike number. It's the number that tells you exactly when you can walk away from your job or any other source of active income and start living life on your term. That's fueled by income from your assets. It's the number that tells you when you actually own your time. In this video, I'm going to show you what your strike number is, how to calculate it, and why it's the only number worth tracking if you want to achieve true financial freedom. Now, before we get into this, my name is Ryan D. Lee, and this is the Wealth Outside of Wall Street YouTube channel where we help you break free from the grind, take back control over your money, and build a real financial freedom plan in 10 years or less. We don't chase net worth. We don't gamble in the stock market. We build cash flowing assets that give us freedom today. So if you're new here, smash that subscribe button and share this with a friend because friends, they don't let friends retire broke. And with that being said, let's dive in. Traditional financial planning teaches you to track your net worth, but net worth doesn't actually pay the bills. Wall Street wants you to focus on asset accumulation, on compounding, on growing your 401k, and while all of those things are good, they don't measure what really matters. And my belief is the reason that Wall Street keeps you and so many other people focused on numbers that don't really matter is they get paid to manage your money, not to help you win. The truth is, net worth is the wrong scoreboard, and they're getting paid whether you win or lose. What matters is cash flow, more specifically passive cash flow. Because financial freedom doesn't come from having a big account balance, it comes from having enough of an asset base that kicks off an income stream that will pay for your lifestyle. Passive cash flow greater than monthly expenses equals time freedom. That's the real scoreboard. That's how you know if you're winning or if you're losing. So I started off this video with the concept called the strike number. It's the most important number in your financial life. It's the amount of monthly passive income that you need to cover your pared down basic living lifestyle. Not luxury, not your dream life, not the European vacation or the beachfront home, just the essentials. I want you to think about the money required to keep food on the table, to keep a roof over your head, to keep your bills paid, to give you the peace of mind to stay in abundance, not scarcity. It's enough money coming in on a monthly basis to provide for yourself and your family without stress, without living in scarcity, without being on the red line. It's the number that buys the most valuable asset of all, which is choice, optionality inside of your life. It's the number that lets you say, I choose to go to work today, not because I have to, but because I actually want to. When your passive income equals or exceeds that number, you can walk away. You own your time, you own your life. That's what your strike number unlocks. Let me tell you how I discovered this number inside of my life. I was climbing the corporate ladder. I had promotions, bonuses, bigger titles. I had $150,000 a year in total compensation, but my friends, I was miserable. Every bonus, every promotion came with a few more strings attached, a little bit more time on the road, a little bit more stress, a bigger team, more connected to my cell phone and email than I ever was before. And at the end of the day, I got myself into a position where I didn't know if I could actually go on anymore. I didn't know if I wanted to go on anymore. I was miserable. You know, every promotion took me a little bit further away from my family until I found myself living in a different city than my family. In fact, I would commute out on a Sunday night. I would take the last flight out so I could be there bright and early Monday morning. I would work in an office, live in an apartment, and then I would fly back home on the late night flight on Friday. I would spend one tired, overwhelmed day on Saturday trying, or at least telling myself that I was trying to be a good husband and be a good father, but I wasn't. And things started to slip away. And in the beginning, I just told myself, this is what you have to do. When I get enough money, a big enough net worth, I'll buy my life back. But I'll never forget 2008. 2008 was my wake-up call. In 2008, I watched my net worth evaporate. And I found myself in a position where I didn't know if I even wanted to chase financial freedom anymore. I didn't know what to do because on the tail end of watching my market-based accounts crash, I got a call from my wife one day when I was living in this apartment several states away, and she told me that my oldest son, Doug, who was 4 at the time, was going to need an emergency open heart surgery. My friends, at that point in my life, I felt like a complete failure. I wasn't even there when my family needed me the most. And I remember I came back home to spend time with my family, to spend time in the hospital. I made a commitment to myself that no longer would I trade what mattered most for what didn't matter in the big picture. Of course I needed money. Of course I obviously needed money to pay for my son son's hospital bills, but no longer would I be an absent father. Now I'm grateful that my son recovered from his heart surgery because I felt like I was given a second chance to figure this game out. And in pursuit of figuring this game out, I read 2 books that changed everything for me. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, which opened me up to the idea that everything I thought I knew about money was wrong. And then I read Creating Wealth by Robert Allen. In Robert Allen's book, Creating Wealth, he talked about achieving financial freedom in 10 years of all things. 10 years by buying 2 single-family homes per year. At that moment in time, that sounded like a breath of fresh air. And the thing that I learned from these 2 books was the real metric for success is cash flow. It's not net worth. Until you understand how much income will come from wherever your assets are, whether it's in a 401k, whether it's in a brokerage account, whether it's in a syndication, whether it's in a single family home, a vault life insurance policy, wherever your money is at, you have to understand how much income that asset will deliver and how much access you have to that income. What I found out the hard way was all of my money was tied up in IRAs. And even if I wanted to achieve financial freedom and retire early, I couldn't. My friends, I was in my late 20s, early 30s when all of this started taking place. And if you don't know this, here's my invitation to you. Figure this out. You need to understand how much income will come from your assets and when you can take it. Because I realized in my 401k, in my IRA, I couldn't even touch the money until I was 59 and a half without a pre-withdrawal penalty. I was penalized for taking my money back. So I quickly shifted my gears. I quickly shifted my focus, and I started buying 2 single-family homes a year, following Robert Allen's method. Within the next 4, almost 5 years, I'd acquired 17 properties. And I'll never forget, this was now 4 years, just about 5 years after 2008. Companies were still tightening their belts in 2012 and 2013, recovering from just the massive, horrific downturn in 2008. And I remember my boss came to my office. Now, I had stopped traveling. I had stopped spending time on the road. I had just focused all of my time on being a good employee and saving as much money as I could in cash flowing assets. The cool thing was, every time I bought an asset, it generated a stream of cash flow that helped me buy my next asset. And I just started repeating that process. And like I said, I had 17 properties. But then my boss came into town. He was there for a reason. He was there to tell me that I was going to go back out on the road. He framed it as a promotion. I was going to get paid a little bit more money, but I had to go back out on the road. And I'll never forget this moment. As my boss sat there and talked about the new responsibility, the new opportunity, how much money I was going to make, it was kind of like that Charlie Brown moment. If you remember back to the Charlie Brown videos, when Charlie Brown's mom would talk, it sounded like wah, wah, wah. That's what it sounded like as I sat there and listened to my boss. Nothing was registering in my head because in the back of my head, I was just adding up my cash flow. And here's the crazy part. I was taking, hey, that house pays for my car payment. Those 3 houses, that pays for my mortgage. Those next 4 houses, that's enough cash flow to put food on the table. And I was adding this up over and over and over again. And I realized I had enough money to walk away and still keep my family safe, still put food on the table, keep the lights on. And without realizing I was going to do this day, Rob, my boss, asked me if I understood what I was about to step into. And I replied with, I quit. Now, as soon as I said that, I wanted to take the words and pop them back in my mouth. I didn't mean to quit. But I had done it and it felt like a weight off my shoulders. And the reason that I had quit, just like that, I was free because I had a strike number. I wasn't rich, I wasn't retired, but I was free. I had hit my strike number. So let me walk you through how to calculate your own strike number and why investing with income first, an income focus, makes all of the difference. Because here's how you calculate your strike number. You start with your monthly income and then you subtract the following: savings and investment contributions. Because your strike number, you don't need to continue to put money away for the future. This is just meant to be a sum of income that can help you transition to whatever next phase of life that you want. So you're likely not going to continue to contribute to any sort of investment accounts during this time. So your total income minus your savings and investment contributions minus your taxes. Now this is a big one. Depending on where you're putting your money, your income will either be taxed, tax deferred, or tax free. One of the greatest advantages of choosing an asset class like real estate is I get to take my income tax free, which means if I'm going to work every single month and I'm paying 20-30% of my income to taxes, federal taxes, state taxes, if I took an income stream from my real estate, I wouldn't pay any taxes. So I'm that much closer to my financial strike number by having a tax-free stream of income. The third one is work-related expenses. Do you know that the average person spends about $8,000 $10,000 per year just on work-related expenses. Things like their wardrobe, commuting, repairing their car, travel that's not covered by their team members, going out to lunch and dinner. Like all of this stuff, as soon as you walk away or change directions, you now recover all of these expenses that were going towards just the privilege of working. And then last but not least, lifestyle upgrades. This is the bare minimum living expenses that you need. It's a bare minimum budget, the amount that you need to survive and own your time. So here's a simple example. Let's say your monthly income is $10,000. We back out state and federal taxes of $2,200. We back out investment contributions of $1,000, and we back out job-related expenses of another $1,000. That number right there would be $5,800 a month. That means if you had an asset base, a set of assets that delivered $5,800 a month of monthly income, then my friends, you have hit your strike number. You have a doorway of options available to you. You get to start saying yes to life instead of no, I'll wait for one day when I have a big enough net worth. Notice how this has nothing to do with net worth. It is irrelevant to my financial plan. It's the income that my assets deliver. When you understand this, you are way closer to financial freedom than you think. Now that you know what your strike number is, you finally understand the real purpose of investing. It's to buy back your time. It's to build streams of income, not just stacks of net worth. The problem with traditional financial advice, like putting your money into a 401k, is that it focuses on the wrong target. Those accounts are designed to grow net worth, not cash flow. They're locked up, they're penalized, and taxed if you try to access them before the age of 59 and a half. So what happens if you want to take a sabbatical in your 40s? What if you want to change careers, start a business, or just start living more present in the life that you have? You need access to income today, not when you're too old to enjoy it. When you know that income is the goal, everything changes. You begin investing in assets that produce income now, not 30 years from now. You look for cash flowing real estate, dividend producing businesses, overfunded whole life insurance policies, because all of these produce income streams right now, and some of them will produce tax-efficient income streams. Suddenly your path to financial freedom is measurable, trackable, and actually achievable. But financial freedom isn't about someday. It's a lifestyle that you can live right now if you build it right. It starts by seeing money as a tool for cash flow, not accumulation. Let's say you have a car payment that's $500 a month. If you own an asset that produces $500 a month in passive income, your car is effectively free. Your assets are working for you. Now, you don't ask, can I afford this? You ask, what cash flowing assets do I need to buy first so it pays for itself? This is how you shift from a consumer thinking to investor thinking. Until you're ready to live fully off of your assets, you roll your monthly income back into your investment system so your assets start producing more assets, more cash flow. It becomes a compounding snowball of cash flow, gaining momentum month after month. So if you want to calculate your strike number, we've built a free tool to help you do that. I'm going to put the link down in the comments below where you can actually calculate your exact strike number using your resources, your time frames, and your ability to save. This will give you the clarity to understand how much closer to financial freedom you actually are. Go check out that link and calculate your strike number. Then build a plan to hit it. This is how we help people just like you walk away from the grind and create a life of freedom. So if you haven't done so yet, subscribe to the channel, share the video with someone you care about, and remember, friends don't let friends retire broke. I'm Ryan D. Lee, and I will see you on the next video.